Hello, my name is Nisha, and today's video will demonstrate how I install braids on the perimeter of my hair. Now, this footage is from November of 2024, and before I installed this set of braids that you see me installing in this clip here, I had not braided my hair since between 2013 and 2015. I've always loved braids. I never stopped loving braids, but it started to take a little bit too long to braid my hair once I got to longer lengths, and I just didn't feel like doing it anymore. So I took a break from it, even though I've always loved the way that they look. And sometimes I'll see a girl with cute braids walking down the street, and I'll say, ooh, I need to braid my hair. So this past winter, I went ahead and gave into the urge to braid my hair, and I've actually been rocking braids ever since. I've just been refreshing them. So the braids that I have installed in November, every month and a half to 2 months, I'll refresh some of the braids, and I plan to continue doing that until around Easter or the first week of April. Well, Easter is like mid to the end of April. So in this footage, you are going to see me installing braids, starting from my nape, going around 4 rows up. Where the front of my hairline is, I'm going to braid anywhere between 3 and 4 rows towards the middle, and on each side of my head I'm going to braid in 2 to 3 rows in, and that is so that while my braids are unfinished, I can pull it back into a ponytail or maybe put on a nice cap, and it gives the effect that my hair is done, even if it still is in the process of completion. So feel free to watch this video. You will see me sectioning off each section of hair. I do apply some cream to my ends just to keep my ends lubricated inside the braid and moisturized, and I install each braid one by one. So I just let the braiding process takes however long it needs to until I get done. One other thing that you may notice as I am braiding my hair is that I am using braiding hair that was in storage for many years. Like as I mentioned before, I had not braided my hair since 2013, and I installed this set at the end of 2024. So some of the braiding hair was in storage. Like basically, like let's say I partially finished a pack of hair, I would put it like in a loose braid and then put it in storage. But just something that's been in storage for that long can get a little bit matted, can get a little bit tangled, can have some snarls in it. And so that is the hair that I'm using. Some of the hair is a little bit tangled, but it's been in the bag for a decade, so I'm not surprised. I'm just making sure, since I'm braiding in the direction that I have that piece left out and it's not pinned up, that I'm not catching my hair in there too tight. But I don't braid tight, so it shouldn't be an issue. Even if I did catch a piece, it wouldn't be an issue just to slip it out, because I don't braid tight. I just braid secure. And what I will do if I'm using that old hair and it has tangles or snarls or a bit of matting, is that you will see that on some of the braids I'm smoothing the braids and I'm removing the snarls and the tangles, just so I can make sure that even though the hair that I'm braiding in may be a little bit old because it's not from a fresh pack, I'm making sure that there are no snarls or tangles that are going to damage my hair inside the braid. And don't worry, I'm not braiding all the braids this small. I just always braid the back smaller. Oh, let me show you. Well, so this is just the piece of hair that's regular, and then braiding around that. And then I'll show you, starting with the 3 pieces on the one on my right of it. I'll do that with 3. And normally when I was a braider, if I was braiding someone else's hair and their hair was really short, like less than a half of inch, then I would do the 3-piece method, because that does give a tighter grip than just wrapping the hair around and going into a regular braid. Going into a regular braid works better on longer hair. And then starting off with 3 like you're getting ready to cornroll the hair works better to give a secure braid on shorter hair. But at least it did for me. There's a million different ways to braid. And the only reason why I braid my hair now is because I found that old bag of hair. And I didn't want it to go to waste. But I don't braid my hair anymore because it takes too long. But I'm really going to enjoy this because I love seeing a cute set of braids. I never stopped loving the way that it looks. Gotta stop braiding my own hair because I no longer had the time to really sit down and do it the way that I wanted to. Once my hair got longer. Oh, so this is the 3-piece. So with the 3 pieces, I was going to split it into 3 between my thumb and ring finger are the first 2 pieces here. So half of the hair is here, split the second half in 2, and I'll just start braiding. So I'll put that middle piece with my hair to start, and then I'll just go into a braid. And this technique works for me. It works better if I'm dealing with someone who has short hair, really short hair, like less than a half an inch or less than a quarter of an inch. It'll still grip it very securely, and they won't have to worry about their braids slipping out, especially if they want to wash them. I'm just gonna make this. I do split hair. I try not to split my hair that's inside the braid too much, but I do, split the braid hair quite a bit. But I don't try to split my hair as much because when I don't split my hair as much, it makes it easier for me to take the braid out. Where I am using the term split hair, I know a lot of people use the term borrow hair. Inside my braids, I don't break up my hair. I don't borrow hair from one section to another. When you see me take a piece of hair from another section, it is always the braided hair only, and I always keep my hair inside the braid as one unit. Notice, even though I have a good grip, it's a little bit loose, and I prefer it that way, just because I don't have to worry about tension that's gonna pull out healthy hair or anything like that. So I don't braid tight, but I do braid securely, and I don't mind when I wear small braids when I braid my hair, because if my braids are a month, 2 months, 3 months old, I don't want them to look bad. And I will wear braids this size. I wear these 2 to 3 months. And back when I was in college, I would just have a constant stream of redoing my hair so that my braids always look fresh. So I would redo a couple of rows of my braids like every 2 weeks after the month mark, and it always made my hair look fresh, even if I hadn't done it in a while. And if I notice that my hair doesn't feel like moisturized or stuff, I'll just give it a quick spray. I'll give it a quick spray, but this is just part of it. Now I'll actually do more of my braiding. Now notice that this section is a lot thicker than this, and that's on purpose. I always make my perimeter smaller, and then I'll go into like the regular size. So this is wider intentionally. I'm just gonna stretch the hair. And I don't waste a lot of hair when I braid too. I usually use up most of the hair. You know how sometimes when you see people braid and have a whole bunch of hair on the floor when they're done? No, I use up most of the hair out the pack. And you'll see by the way that I braid, unless I'm like pulling off a knot or something, I don't waste a lot of braiding hair. And I don't know how much I don't even know how much braiding hair costs now, because the last time I was buying it, it was $2 a pack. That was 10 years ago, so it's probably like $4 or $5 a pack now, but I don't know. I would have to look it up or take a look at it when I go to the hair store to get my daughter's barrettes. If I, you know, sometimes like those little knockers that I wore when I was a kid. Well, next time I go in there, I'm going to have to take a look to see how much the braiding hair costs. Because I haven't bought any braiding hair in a long time. And as I'm installing this set, I might actually need like 1 or 2 more packs. But we'll see. We'll see, because I have 6 full packs of braiding hair, and then I have a whole bunch of little bundles like this that were open but not all the way used. So I have to see if this is going to be enough, or if I'm going to need, you know, 2 or 3 more packs to finish my hair. And I only braid, when I braid my hair, I only use Kanika hair. I never like Toyoka hair, and I really don't like human hair either. For a lot of different reasons, especially on braiding hair. So I always use the Kanika line, although I've been hearing reports about it being really harmful and damaging. So I guess it's good that I stopped wearing braids before I noticed any bad effects, but over the years that I wore braids, the Kanika line worked fine for me. And that's the most important thing to me about braiding, that you have to make sure that your ends are braided up. Otherwise, whatever you could attempt to gain with low manipulation or putting your hair away, it'll be completely undermined. It'll be completely undermined if those ends are not protected. Because this hair is cut in half and I'm trying to protect my ends, I'm actually going to start, once I get to the long pieces of my hair, with just braiding like this. This piece is the starting piece, and then this shorter piece braided in. That way I know it'll still braid all of my hair in. So the short piece to the left, the long piece to the right. My left, my right. Bringing some of that hair off. So if I find that the braiding hair doesn't reach the tips like I need it to, I'll just feed in here the way people do knotless braids or feed in braids, and I'll make sure that the braids still reach my hip or just past my hip so that my ends are protected. So the technique that people started using for knotless braids and feed in braids is the techniques that those of us who've been braiding since the 90s used to make braids longer. If we ever wanted to braid someone's hair and their hair was longer than the pack. So I'm going to actually add some more hair into this one now. So here I'm just going to take another piece of hair and just wrap the braid and continue braiding just to make sure it'll be long enough. I don't have any issues with it not being long enough, or it being too thin and my hair not being protected. Protecting the ends is the most important part. Protecting your ends and keeping your scalp clean. Keeping my scalp clean, keeping my hair inside the braid moisturized, and keeping my ends protected are the 3 rules that I use to being able to wear braids successfully without damage. Scalp clean, hair inside the braid moisturized, ends protected. I do that, I don't ever have any issues wearing braids. If one of those pieces are missing and somebody says they hate braids, braids make the hair fall out, braids make the hair break, this, that, or other, I can usually pinpoint one of those things being missing, and that's what caused this excessive shedding, or that's what caused hair to come out at the root, or that's what caused some type of skin irritation. Now, don't get me wrong, I've been hearing about catchign containing a lot of stuff that's very damaging and stuff like that. And I don't know what's in this new hair. This is 10-year-old hair that I'm using. This is hair from 2013, 2014. That's that got boxed up in storage and I forgot I had. So I'm not saying that there are other things that won't, you know, cause damage or whatnot. Okay, yeah, and this braid is a little bit past my hip. So given shrinkage, my hair should be protected. My hair is in there somewhere in the middle. So just squint it there. When I get to the other packs, it'll be even easier to handle. This isn't bad. I can work with this, but I know it'll be much easier to handle when I get to the unopened packs of hair. And notice it's not super tight. That is intentional. I don't like. Now I used to have my hair braided so tight it looked like my hair was bald, and then the braid was glued to it. You know how you just snatch all the hair into the braid, but that just isn't necessary, and it can lead to alopecia and hair loss. You can literally pull hair out from the root by braiding that tight, so I don't do that. Tangled, but it doesn't have knots in it, I'll throw the knotted hair away, but the tangled hair I'll still use, and that's just how, you know, you get more uses out of your packs of hair. You don't want to braid hair if you feel any knots. If I feel any knots while I'm braiding, I always pull that out, because if I don't, that can get attached to the natural hair and cause hair damage. So, and of course the texture between the catchign hair and my hair is different, and so I can tell that I'm pulling out the braiding hair knots, and I'm not actually ripping my hair out. I can tell that I can feel the difference. feel the weight of my actual hair now. And so I know my hair is going to be super heavy with this hair braided in. So this is the Jardine green tea line. It was from a brand called Hairveda. Hairveda discontinued back in 2018, but right before they closed, I want to say like a month before they closed, I bought a whole bunch of products. And I still have like 2 jars of that green tea butter, and I have a few jars of the vodka frosting, and I have like 1 shampoo left. But before they closed, Hairveda was my favorite hair care line. That and Comet Biologics. Those were my 2 favorite natural hair care lines. And so I'm definitely still going to use up all of my jars of the Hairveda. And that's just a throwback for those of you guys who remember it. Just to protect my ends. Lubricated ends are less likely to knot up. So, and this hair is kind of tangly, so that's just the extra layer of protection. It's like insurance while I'm braiding my hair. That's why I'm putting that on my ends. Just be careful if you have hair that's prone to becoming gummy, or you're not trying to wash your braids like that, because you don't want anything that you put in there to act like cement when it comes time to take your hair out. So I'm fine using this because I know that I'm going to do some apple cider vinegar rinses while my hair is braided. And that should keep build-up under control and from becoming like me by the time I take these braids out. And there are numerous ways to prevent your braids from unraveling. There, I just did a slip knot to prevent the braids from unraveling, but I used to dip them in hot water in the past. I don't do that anymore because it does dry my hair out, and I do notice that I have more split ends when I use the hot water method. You can set them on rollers with or without dipping them in hot water. You can burn the ends. You can cut them with hot scissors. So there's a lot of different ways to seal braids, but I do like the slip knot method. Alright, so I'll have a little bit more commentary as the video progresses. I'll make sure to put timestamps for when I speak if I'm adding a point about hair care or braid care. But the majority of this video is just going to be me allowing you to see me actually braid my hair all the way through. There were a few times where I was watching The Penguin with my husband on TV, so I was sitting on the couch braiding and I didn't film it, but I did film how I braided the majority of my hair. So enjoy. process, but usually when I get to the one at the end, I usually do the one at the end first and then the one inside second, and that's just to prevent the hair from getting in the way. So I do that intentionally. Huh? Okay, 1 minute. This. I actually enjoy braiding. I find it relaxing. And so it's not that I don't like the actual action of braiding. I do. It's just that I don't always have time for that anymore. So, but I find this relaxing.
life got in the way.
So for my second session of braiding, I am wetting my hair down with some of the Uncle Funky's Thirsty Curls because I slept on hair that had been ribbed and had some product in it. I just wanted to make sure nothing was happening to cause it to tangle or cause issues during the braided process. So I do find that, moistening the hair before installing braids so that the hair is damp, not wet, but damp, does help to prevent tangles, and it'll also serve for keeping my hair moisturized in the braids. Now when it comes to a spray like Thirsty Curls or any type of liquid based spray that is a little bit more on the expensive side, I will never use those as braid sprays because it won't be economical. But I will use it if I take down a braid. I will spray my hair down with a liquid spray just to preserve moisture inside the braid. So here you'll just see me continuing where I left off and braiding my hair. I believe there might be one row or possibly two that was done off camera. I did do some braids if I was sitting in front of the TV with my husband watching TV, but for the most part, I braided most of my hair in my office area. waist or my hip bone, the top of my hip bone, being braided in an end higher up. And I can look at it and see it. I can also feel in the tension between the braided hair and my actual hair. Here I have a straight piece of hair that was too small of a section to add one more braid into. So I'm just going to take down the braid that I'm unraveling, and I'm going to take that straight piece and add it to the middle until I get ready to braid it. And here I'm just showing there's enough of the back done to cover and pull it up, and enough of the side done that if I want to pull my hair into a bun, it'll look covered. My edges are not braided. Now I'm just going to braid in a few rows from the front. That's the key. You want it secure without being tight. That's the key for me. I want it secure without being tight. That way, I have hair slipping out, and I'm just gonna treat this like feed in here because I don't want this to get thinner. I'm just gonna treat it like feed in here. That was already thin to begin with, so sometimes I let it slide out. I'm not doing it with that one. so this next braid, I began installing it and I don't like the way that it's braiding. So I'm going to take it down after I get it mostly installed and redo it. tight to me, I'll take it out and not even tight. If it doesn't feel secure, I'll take it out and adjust it. Put it back in there at the base. I don't like it to be too tight to get like bumps or anything, but I like it to be a little bit more secure. About 7:30, I'm gonna get her up and get her dressed. I'm gonna have to wear a hat to her visit today. I was too tired to braid my hair last night.
What's going on? You beautiful with or without a hat?
Yeah, my hair still needs to be done. Thank you.
Hmm?
I said thank you. My hair still needs to be combed. It needs to be finished.
Oh, I understand that. That's what I'm saying. Either way, you're beautiful.
go ahead and just emphasize the disclaimer that I do not recommend trying to take severely tangled hair and braiding it in. The reason why I'm able to do this is I had many years of experience braiding my own hair and braiding the hair of others. And just braiding when I had very little as a teenager, growing up in the hood, stuff like that, where I was able to salvage something and piece it together. Under normal circumstances, braiding hair is not expensive at all. It's like $2 a pack. Even if you want to buy that better hair that doesn't have the chemicals that are coming out and things like that, it's typically under $10 a pack, and you can just buy that and save yourself the hassle of detangling hair. You can have relative certainty that you're not going to tangle your real hair in knots and snarls from old hair, and so I would recommend that instead. The specific reason why I'm able to do this without having any hair damage is because I did it for years. For example, if I was already braiding someone's hair at my house, and let's say they didn't have enough hair when they came over, like they were short like a half a pack or a pack, something like that. Instead of having them go back to the store to get enough hair so I could finish their braids, a lot of the times I would just have partially used bundles of hair in like a storage closet or like a coat closet, and I would just take the hair out of my storage closet or coat closet, and I would finish their hair without sending them back to the store, little things like that. So I do know how to take old hair, braid it in, and still have it look new. But that is not something that I recommend to the average or amateur braider. Because if the knots or the snarls are not efficiently removed, you can literally braid damage into your hair, because knots grab onto healthy, viable hair like Velcro. And it will take healthy hair with it when uninstalled if not installed correctly. So that is my disclaimer. I learned my hair lessons years before the natural hair movement was popular. So there are some liberties that I can take through experience. This is not me recommending things that are harmful to anyone else. So when this is done, but notice how I can camouflage until it gets done. Alright, so this video was how I installed braids around my perimeter so that it will pull back nicely into a bun and camouflage that the middle of my hair is not done yet while I am starting my braids and I need multiple days to finish. Also, let's say I wanted the look of individuals but did not feel like the hours that it would take to install individuals. This method also works pretty well if I wanted to cornrow the middle and put some crochet braids in the middle, or just cornrow the middle or keep the middle in a bun and wear my hair with the perimeter braided for the entire duration of that particular install. I am going to follow up with a video showing how I finished my braids and also videos showing how I maintenance my braids until I take them out. It's March now, so I'm going to actually take my braids out the last week of March, first week of April, but I will film that also. So if you like this video, my content, my overall vibe, I welcome you to like, comment, and subscribe. Have a wonderful day.